I mean, let's talk about that right there. I mean, that's got to be the biggest injury going into the postseason. And it's a good question: is Giannis going to be back? For those of you who have not caught up by now, which you should have, there's no excuse. You should already know that the Milwaukee Bucks suffered a first game loss to the Heat, but in more than that, they suffered injured Giannis, who's suffering from back contusions, who is now out, who left game one, and is very doubtful for game two.
Yeah.
So Giannis was already facing another injury. I think it was his hand. So right now, I think they're definitely going to keep him out game two. But I'll be honest, I don't know if they're going to keep him out the whole series. I think there's a good chance he come back. I don't know if you looked into it, but what about you? Do you think that he's going to be out for the whole series, or how soon do you think we see Giannis?
So I mean, I heard that he might be back in possibly game three, game four. I don't think he's gonna be out more than 2 games, if anything. I think it's just gonna be 1 or 2 games. So definitely game two, though. They already said that he's gonna be out game two, so we can definitely foresee that, and then from there we'll see. But I don't think it's like back spasms type thing. So that usually takes you out 2 games in a regular season. So if it takes him out this much in the playoffs, then I don't mind him taking that time just to recover himself, because he's probably going to be needed later in the playoffs. I mean, as long as they can make it through here. I mean, I'm not gonna get it twisted. Like Miami, they played really well against the Bucks. I mean, we got to
Oh
see a little
yeah.
bit of playoff Jimmy.
Oh nah. Honestly, in the absence of Giannis, the Bucks did what they could. But at the end of the day, the name of the name that pretty much stuck out was Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. Both of them definitely did their thing in that first win, and honestly, it's going to be trouble for the Bucks as a team to kind of guard going through. Eighth seed is definitely a mismatch against number one in most years, and truth be told, this team is still a mismatch against the
Hmm.
Bucks. But without Giannis at this point, do you think the Heat have a better team?
Yes. Without Giannis, I will say that. Yes. I mean, now, do I think that they're gonna win game two? I don't know. I think the game two is going to be very close, because even though they don't have Giannis, I do think that Middleton and Brook Lopez are going to have to step up in that game, and they're going to be taking a lot more shots, possibly more 3 pointers to keep up with Miami the way that they've been shooting lately. And I don't know. I think that game might be close, and maybe they inch out and they win it. But if we're looking at a 7 game series, if he's out all 7 games, then yes, I do expect Miami to win if he's out all 7 games. Now I don't expect that to happen. I still think that Giannis is going to be coming back right around fourth game, like I said. I think that they will be set up pretty well, where even going into Miami, they can they could still win on the road very well with the guys that they have. I mean, like I said, if it's a 7 game series and they don't have Giannis, then yes, Miami could take it. But if you're looking at a 4 game series, then I could see them being tied without Giannis the next 3 games. So they could end up being 2-2 going into the fifth game.
No, I would agree with you. Definitely. At the end of the day, yeah, we understand what Jimmy brings to the table and how we all expect Jimmy to
Hmm.
play in the playoffs. Um, but the Bucks have a lot of players on their team with championship pedigree, championship ring on their finger, and deep playoff experience. So they are definitely a deep team, a experienced team, and a team that can just give you a lot of looks. Like
Yeah.
your boy Middleton dropped what 33 last game in
Yeah.
place of Giannis coming out. So you definitely expect him to step up. Uh, I just honestly I loved without Giannis. I honestly think it's a way better matchup, a lot more even and a lot more unpredictable. Jimmy versus Chris, basically Butler versus Middleton is a great matchup to see. Seeing how Brook Lopez, who's one of the defensive player of the year candidates,
Yeah.
plays Bam off that pick and roll is definitely good. Because that's one thing I did notice. Bam was scared as shit to take the ball in when he was being guarded by Giannis. But as soon as Giannis came out, he just pretty much kept shooting that little floater over
Yep.
Brook Lopez time after time after time. So he's definitely
He played great
gonna
after Giannis was out.
he's
Yeah.
definitely gonna use that mismatch, which is crazy that it's a mismatch because Brook Lopez is one of the best defenders in the league, but I guess he's pretty much
Hmm.
basically using that space. You know, the Bucks are definitely going to keep dropping off of that pick and roll. And he's pretty much finding his spacing right in between. So definitely want to see that matchup keep playing out. Another injury we do got to mention, obviously, is the absence of Tyler Hero. Definitely
Yeah.
did seem like he was having a good game in game one. Already had 12 points, and was hitting a few shots, but definitely broke his hand and will be out not just the rest of the series, but at this point, more than likely the whole playoffs. He's
That's what people
expected
are
to miss
saying.
4 to 6 weeks. And honestly, I don't see them bringing someone back with a broken hand, even if they make it to the finals that soon, unless like they're that desperate and he's very, very good with his rehab. Because I just don't imagine that that hand is going to be usable to be able to
Yeah,
actually go in there.
I wouldn't expect them to. I mean, if they somehow get to the sneaking their ways into the finals, maybe, but I don't think so. I don't think so. You want to keep him out of there because his hand, that's where he makes his money, shooting the ball with that hand.
Exactly, and they just definitely understand what he can bring to the table. So I do think he's shut down regardless for the rest of the year. So I definitely want to see who else will step up on Miami side. We already know who's gonna step up on the Bucks side without Giannis. We already know Brook Lopez and Drew Holiday are going to try to do what they need to do to support Middleton. But besides Jimmy and Bam, who else do you think can actually pose a threat to the Bucks defense and actually show the heat that they're gonna step up?
I mean, it's got to be two guys. It's got to be Caleb Martin and it's got to be Gabe Vincent. It's got to be those two guys for me. And I want to see them hit threes. Is what I want to see them do. That's how they won in the first game, and that's how they're gonna keep up in this series. The one thing that the Bucks do struggle with is shooting a lot of threes. I mean, you have guys on that team that can shoot threes. Middleton, Brook Lopez can shoot them. Giannis has been getting better. Obviously, Grayson Allen, but as a whole team, they're not. Their percentage isn't great. I mean, Miami does shoot the ball very good. Without Tyler Hero, obviously they're missing a lot there. But I do
Hmm.
expect them to keep shooting those threes, and if Jimmy Butler keeps going inside and keep pushes the ball to the outside, I mean, he did have 11 assists that first game, and that's what he was doing. He was going inside, going to the right hand side, trying to get a layup, and if it wasn't there, he would just push the ball out to the corner or right on the elbow and let his guy shoot it. And I do expect them to keep doing that because that's definitely going to be what you want to do against a team like Milwaukee that plays really well on the road when they get to Miami.
See, for me, it's definitely gotta have to be Max Truss. With such a big loss in shooting and Tyler Hero, and obviously in shot creation, because he honestly was the only other person besides Jimmy who can go get himself a bucket.
Hmm.
But with the loss of that that lethal shooting and so much just points coming off the board, like Miami was a very they were a very different team in the fact that they had three players average over 20. And obviously Hero, Butler, and Bam. So without Hero, that's 20 points plus your best shooter. Pretty much missing, and I definitely do think while role players like Vincent and Martin do have to step up, and they did what they could in the first game. Both of them, I think Vincent had 15, Martin had 15 as well. We didn't see nothing from Struss. He had 8 points, and then in my opinion, if they stand a chance of competing in this series with or without Giannis, Max Struss has to become their go-to shooter. And obviously, we all know they can't rely on putting Duncan in there because of his liability on defense, no matter how much they pay him.
That's a whole fact, and we had a discussion about that last year for sure. And you're
Hmm.
totally right about that. But I'm still surprised he's still on the team, getting paid so much money just sitting on the
I know.
bench. But but anyways, that might be a story for another day. But you're right. You're probably right about Struss. He does need to start shooting a few more shots actually, because I do think that he is a good shooter. He was in a regular season. I think he can definitely do work for this team. But I mean, let's talk about who you got for the series. I mean, I do expect it to be a little bit closer now that Giannis could be out for 1 or 2 games, but you do got Tyler Hero out on the other side. So, I mean, let me ask you, who you got for this series to win it?
So definitely, like you said, without Giannis, it made it a closer series, but then they lost Hero. So at that point, I don't think there's any way you can convince anyone that the Heat makes it out of here, especially when we all know Giannis is coming back while Hero is not. Um, without Giannis, the Bucks, and I'll be honest, even though they lost, they still showed that they can play. Like they can definitely play
Yeah.
without Giannis. They just got to do a little figuring out. It's going to be a lot more competitive. But at the end of the day, we're talking about top five in 3-point attempts and rim attempts. So this is a team that can get to the basket and a team that can shoot. So I feel like they're a team that can mold and adapt to what they need to adapt to. And honestly, obviously they lost a lot in being able to go in the paint with Giannis. But I always say one of their best plays they have
Mm.
is Brook Lopez in the paint. And
Mhm.
he's still lethal in the paint. Obviously Middleton getting to his spots. Your boy Drew Holiday
True.
backing up
True.
smaller guards. Getting pretty much. I still think they could find a way to force, uh, basically force the work into the paint, force
Mhm.
Bam to
Yep.
kind of crash and allow their shooters to still get open. So I do think it's going to be a little tougher, but I definitely got the Bucks winning this whole series. And with the absence of Giannis, I do not think they win the next game, but I do think they win one more. So I do got the Bucks winning this series 4-2. Bucks in six.
Nice.
What about
So
you? Who you got?
yeah, so that's a good analysis that you have because I do agree with that. I do think that the inside game is gonna it's gonna matter a lot, and if Bam definitely gets his work, down low against guys like Lopez, and especially because there's gonna be a little bit more open space down there now that Giannis is not there. Next game, then it could be a little bit closer, but I kind of tend to agree with you. I don't think they're gonna win next game. I do think they're gonna win one in Miami, and then the series is gonna end up being 2-2, but I do expect Giannis to be back possibly game four of this series, and after game four, I could see the Bucks winning game four, five, and six, and taking this a six-game series. And like you said, yeah, 6 games for the Bucks and moving on quickly. But let's say Giannis comes back the third game, I would not be surprised if they just take over the next the next four games. Honestly, if Giannis comes back quickly because I do expect the Bucks to come out hot next game. Like they'll come out hot, and then it'll be a little bit closer towards the end, but they're definitely gonna come out hot, trying to score.
I mean, a lot of what we expect from the Heat is just based on playoff Jimmy. As a team, even without
True.
Giannis,
True.
without Hero, it's not even close.
Nah, nada. It's really not. It's really not.